Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Madison City Commission meeting for the meeting of July 16th, 2012. We'll call the meeting to order. Jeff, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Delzer?
Here.
Commissioner Erickson?
Here.
Commissioner Walter?
Here.
Commissioner Abraham?
Here.
Mayor Hexum?
Here. You have the minutes of the July 9th meeting as a part of your record. Are there any changes or corrections to the minutes of the July 9th meeting?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the minutes of the July 9th meeting as prepared. Any questions or speaking on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion is carried. You have the agenda for this meeting before you. Are there any changes to the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the agenda as prepared. Any questions or speaking to that motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion is carried. Under appearances, acknowledgments, and correspondence, we have several items. Number one, we have a group of citizens who have asked to meet with the commission to discuss downtown development. They are Ashley Allen, Eve Fisher, Gail Mayberry, Dean Quaker, Shirley Harrington Moore, and Corey Heidelberger. I would ask, do you have a spokesman for the group, or?
Mayor Hexum, I'll be vaguely coordinating our presentation tonight.
Okay, and we'll begin, and whoever wants to be first is welcome. I would appreciate you use the microphone, and then the recording will be satisfactory, we hope.
Thank you, Mayor Hexum. To clarify before we start, what is our time frame we're operating on tonight?
Well, I suggested 15 to 20 minutes, if that works for you. If that is close, we'll see what the feeling of the group here. We do not have a long agenda tonight, so if we need a little extra time, I think we can arrange for that.
We'll work with that 15
Okay.
to 20. If you have comments or questions that extend that, we will welcome that.
Okay?
First off, before I forget, the big thing I wanted to say first is at last week's meeting, a suggestion was made by community members, Mr. Sinclair and Mr. Johnson, to form a downtown development task force. We have 5 volunteers for that task force already. Shirley Harrington Moore, who's with us and will be speaking this evening. Ashley Allen will be speaking this evening. Gail Mayberry will be speaking this evening. Eve Fisher will be speaking this evening. And Levon Riedel, who's with us but just knows we're going to say good stuff and she can want to talk herself, so that's okay. But she'd love to be on the Downtown Development Task Force Committee. So if the commission is going to consider forming that task force, we've got 5 members for you right there, community members who are willing to give time, effort, and brain power, maybe money, we'll see about that, but definitely brain power to make stuff happen. With that aside, what we have are 6 people. We are not an official committee or group or organization of any sort, and the people speaking tonight are really not speaking for any group consensus that's been achieved or any final project that's been decided on by anybody. We are simply citizens who have some ideas for downtown and would like to share them with you as individuals who share the concern with seeing good things happen in downtown and in Madison. First, Eve Fisher will speak to us, and then followed by Gail Mayberry, Dean Quaker, Shirley Harrington Moore. I'll say a few words, and then Ashley Allen will be our final speaker in this presentation, which we will try to keep to 15, 20 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Eve Fisher.
All right. Thank you for hearing us tonight. I think it's safe to say that most of us want to see Madison, especially the downtown area, vibrant and thriving and attractive. But I'm not the only one who's noticed that empty storefronts are increasing and they're staying empty for longer and longer periods of time. The buildings themselves, while charming, almost every visitor said that we've had has said, what a beautiful little town. The buildings themselves are decaying. There's a lot of problems with mold, mildew, structural damage, all sorts of things. And we have lost some vital retail shops from our area, perhaps forever, perhaps not. The main thing that I see that we really lack is an overarching vision and plan for what the future should be. There's a lot of haphazard suggestions that are tossed around. But what we need is something unified, a plan as to what could be, what Madison could be. We're in a post-industrial economy all across the nation. All the economists say this all over the place. What's booming is service and tourism. Madison is unique in that it has 2 lakes, 2 golf courses, Prairie Village, a charming downtown that could be saved before it finally falls into ruin. If the buildings maintained, restored, and all the rest of it, all of this could be we should be a major place for people to come and enjoy themselves. This has been done elsewhere. Classic example for those people who would say, well, Madison is too small, we can't afford that. Classic example is a place I used to visit when I lived in Georgia, a place called Helen, Georgia, up in the Appalachian Mountains. Population 400. Logging industry came to an end there and was never coming back. The town was dying. And they decided that what they would do is they transformed themselves, into an alpine village in the Appalachian Mountains and turned themselves into a major tourist attraction. This is where people come. They go there in North Georgia for the fall, to see the leaves. They go up there in the wintertime. They go up there, there are special events all the time. It has become hugely successful, and Helen is a major player in the map of tourist attractions in the mountains. Hill City, South Dakota. You think that's accidental? That is a planned community. Sure, it started out, but they specifically worked to create a unified, attractive, tourist-friendly environment. And we can look at the downtowns of Howard, Brookings, and even Sioux Falls, what they have done. But what is needed is a vision, and that's why, yes, we need a development organization, but we need one that's really open to the public, so that the public can not only find out what's going on, but participate in input, and also get some idea of what the vision is, and that the organization itself can find out what people want. And what most people want is something that will bring people downtown, something that will keep them downtown, where they come and they don't just say, gee, how quaint, as they drive through, but actually stop and spend time and enjoy it. Thank you for listening.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and if I may invite Gail Mayberry to speak to the
Okay,
commission
yes.
now. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say a few words because I know there's a lot of people that want to speak. Downtown, I think we need not only retail, but I think we need something else on top of that that will bring people to the city to spend money. Like perhaps, we've been discussing like a movie theater, something for family entertainment that would bring not only, Madison residents, they could, stroll on downtown, but all the surrounding little communities, because right now all we have is Brookings, Sioux Falls, and focus on something that will bring people to town to spend money. Not only to, say, go to a movie, but they would shop, they would eat, perhaps visit the bar right before they go to a movie. All these, everyone in town would benefit from something that, I think if you bring something in the arts category downtown, that retail would follow. And yes, our old buildings are run down, but hey, I just bought an old building and I'm fixing it up. It can be done. I mean, when you look at old, or, the towns, when you drive through, what do you look at? You want to see the old buildings, the old main street of it, and really look at it and see if the downtown isn't run down, then you know that the city is alive and well. So anyway, I'm gonna let.
Before you go, Gail, I'm curious, you mentioned you bought an old building and you're fixing it up. Was it just a money decision to fix instead of knock down,
Well,
or did other things factor into that?
No, I just wanted to expand. I had so much stuff and I didn't want to get rid of anything, so I just wanted to expand, and that was available, so. And that was just a disaster, that building. The main level's okay, but, I mean, we've been putting a lot of time and effort into it, but, you know, it can be done. I mean, those old buildings, they have charm to them, and that's what makes the town, you know, charming, I guess you could say. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Gail.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll invite Dean Quaker to speak for a moment, if I may. Dean?
Kind of nervous, you gotta excuse me, I'm no public speaker. But the reason I'm here tonight is, I think one of the reasons why our town is going downhill is because we've got to educate the people to spend their money in Madison. When you spend $1 in Sioux Falls, it goes 7 times around before it goes dead. And the tax dollar you spend in Sioux Falls goes 1.5 times. You can talk to any economic teacher and they'll tell you that. And I think we've got to educate the people. I buy everything in Madison. I'm loyal to Madison. I made my money here and I'm gonna spend it here. And I think I don't know how we're gonna do this, if we're gonna have to have the Chamber of Commerce or, I have arguments with people, well, I can buy cheaper in Sioux Falls. Yes, you can, but you're spending $7 for a $1 item, you might say, because it turns over. And then they say, well, they haven't got it in Madison. The reason we don't have the big merchandise selection in Madison is people have gone to Sioux Falls. And a merchant can't afford to put a stock in if he don't turn it fast enough. That's basically I think we have to educate the people and have them spend their money in Madison. I know it's tough for people to not see that, but, because a $1 will turn 7 times when I spend it, and the tax dollar will go 1.5 times and it'll go dead. I thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Okay,
Dean.
thank you.
Thank you, Dean. If I may now invite Shirley Harrington Moore
Okay.
to the microphone, she will address the commission.
Okay.
Takes me a little longer. Us people that are disabled, we don't hobble so fast. I'm Shirley Harrington Moore, and I've been in town 4 years. I came here in 2008, and I came from a farm over between Flandreau and Brookings. I could have moved to Brookings, but I wanted a small town that had a bookstore and a place where I could buy yarn. And the reason I wanted those two is because I write novels. I have 6 published novels, and I knit shawls. I've done over 200 of them so far. I give most of them to the Methodist Church. My source of material for yarn is dried up. Pumita's going out. I bought the last of their yarn yesterday. Now, what am I supposed to do, folks? I mean, to me, to drive all that way to Brookings or to Sioux Falls, that's a waste of time. I could buy it off the internet. Yeah, sure. But that doesn't do anything for my hometown. This is now my hometown. 4 years I've been here. I even sing in the choir, sing solo as a church. That's how invested I am in this place, and I don't normally do that. The other thing I don't like, and I'll be very honest about it, is you have a movie theater, it doesn't have a $3 matinee on Sunday. My goodness, you know, it's funny though it may sound, I used to drive from the farm, which was north of Flandreau ways, down to Del Rapids for the $3 matinees. I thought that was cool. I got a grandkid or two that I'd like to take to the movies, but not at night. I don't like to drive at night. You're losing out on this stuff. And the movies should be downtown. Because when people go to the movies downtown, they look in the store windows and see what's there, you know? You never know what you're gonna find in a store window with good merchandising that you really think you need. So you're missing out on this stuff. Let's not do that anymore, shall we? You know, we need, beyond that, one more thing about this craft thing. We can have Brick House, and a few people use that, but us knitters meet at we knitters meet at the library. But if we have anything to sell, we have to wait for a craft sale someplace. It would be nice if we had somewhere where we could have like a co-op where somebody would be in charge and we could have our craft things that we made displayed that we could sell, you know, make a little profit. I'm not looking for millions, but it'd be nice to share what I'm able to do. Just some things that I think it would be nice to do, all right? Thank you, gentlemen, for your time and effort. I cede the rest of my time to Corey.
Okay.
Thank you, Shirley.
Thanks.
I accept your time.
Thank you.
And if I may now, I'll yield my time to myself, but Ashley, if you'd like to come here and be ready to go when I get there and provide moral support. Eve and Gail and Dean and Shirley have come here tonight, just presented some different ideas for retail. whether those are ideas the city commission needs to do, or whether, a private entrepreneur needs to do, or a nonprofit, who knows who the right person is to do that. But I hope their speaking to you tonight has demonstrated the kind of process that I think we need to follow to make downtown development happen. One of my concerns with downtown development is, and we'll address the thrift store, because that's where this started. The thrift store, I won't say failed, because it may still be going, but it certainly floundered in the court of public opinion, in part because it was a bad plan, and I'll stick with that and we can discuss that later, but I think maybe even more so, not because of the merits of the plan itself, but of how the plan was created. It was created privately, behind closed doors, in a process that didn't become public until it reached the sales pitch point, where the organizers came to the city commission and said, give us cash, we're ready to go, we're going to fundraise, this is the plan that someone conceived and then everyone else is going to be convinced to go with. Now, I'm an old debater. I love a debate, but I think that process sets up a debate that's unhealthy for the community. It creates a situation where people think people are digging foxholes and stringing barbed wire, as was stated in the commission meeting last week. I don't want that. You don't want that. The community isn't served by that sort of us versus them mentality that arises, right or wrong, but which arises when a community development project doesn't engage the community from the start. So, the thing I want to pitch tonight is not any particular thing or building or project downtown, but the process by which those projects ought to be designed and by which the consensus and support of the community ought to be built. And that's an open, participatory, democratic process. Should the commission see fit, or should anyone in town see fit, to convene a task force to figure out how are we going to fix downtown? And as was mentioned at the meeting last week by the speakers, we seem to all agree downtown's missing something. Whether it's a yarn store, a movie theater, or another thrift shop, that's an open question we can debate. But downtown's missing something. Instead of forming a task force from 5 or 9 of your closest friends, or even the 5 people I've named tonight, don't just pick the people I've named. The first step in a downtown development task force is to hold public meetings. Maybe 3, maybe 5, I don't know, we can talk nuts and bolts later too. But we need to start with open community conversation, where we say to everybody who wants to come, everybody who's a stakeholder, and that's everybody, business owners, shoppers, moms with babies that need socks that fit, etc. We have a series of public meetings where we will bring people together, not to tell them what we are going to do, what some committee decided to do, but where we ask people, okay, get in your small groups, and we put them all at round tables in maybe a building downtown. Maybe we hold these meetings in the old Jensen building, and sweep up, put a girder up so it doesn't collapse, or maybe have it in the Masons building. I'll go in and sweep that with DeLon. Have it in a building downtown where we can see Main Street. Set out some round tables. Get everybody facing each other in small groups, this close, this close. You have me, you have Scott, you have Dick Wiedemann maybe, sitting all at a table with each other. No foxholes there, we're all looking at each other as equals. And we talk about the questions. What does downtown need? We discuss it. So does everybody else. Not just one person at a mic and everybody listening, but everybody active and engaged at this meeting. We ask, what do you want downtown? Who could do that to get that downtown? Is it tax dollars, private dollars, government? Who knows who? We have that discussion with everybody who wants to participate. We have it on more than one night. Because, Nick might not be able to make the Monday meeting because they're fixing tractors Monday night. So the next week we have one Tuesday night when Nick can make it. And Ashley might not make it because he's in Pennsylvania. So you have the same meeting again the following week. You have a series of meetings so as many people of as many different jobs and as many different interests can make it and participate in that meeting. And feel like, and not just feel like they're participating, but really participate in identifying problems, making plans to solve those problems, and then maybe actually working on the solution when it happens. Make everybody a stakeholder from square one with open, documented, recorded, published meetings, and let everybody not just feel like they're a stakeholder, but actually act as a stakeholder. And that will make whatever plan we make for downtown, thrift store, movies, yarn store, you name it, be better and meet. It won't be the kind of thing where someone has to do a sales pitch and overcome objections. It'll be the thing that once the plan is arised, everybody will go, yep, that's the plan we all worked on together. Let's do it. It'll be a lot easier, it'll build a good project, and it'll build community, and that's what we all want. So, open, participatory, democratic process. That's essential for whatever's going to happen downtown. Thank you for your indulgence. And Ashley has a few words on some other things that he'd like to see downtown.
All right, good evening, gentlemen. Just real quick, my name is Ashley Kenneth Allen. I've been coming to speak to this commission for a number of years now, discussing the state of our community on various different affairs. I'm a lifelong resident, minus a couple years. I do choose to live here. I work outside of the community and could easily move, but I've made Madison my home. I am a fifth-generation Madison resident, and have been here a very long time and would like to see my family stay here. As I've addressed this commission before, we are in a state of decline. Our population is stagnant. We are still recovering from job losses. We see retail on Main Street struggling, more and more shutting down. And really, the buildings are in a sore condition. I don't think we've had a major downtown improvement program since the 1980s when we redid the sidewalks and put in the trees and changed out the lights. I'm not sure the city has invested a lot of money in the infrastructure downtown. I know there's some side streets and other areas close to downtown that we've invested in, but it's been a while since we've taken a very hard look at downtown Madison. Now, I've seen the commission come forward with the plans for the next few years, our long-term plan for when we're going to replace this street and when we're going to do sidewalks, but the commission has not come forward with a downtown development plan. Now, privately, I've talked to many of you, and I've been told that economic development is not handled within this building. That's why we don't have an economic development department or a director or someone who does grant writing or anyone that really focuses on it. We take our third penny sales tax and give that money to the Lake Area Improvement Corporation and the Chamber of Commerce and hope that they will do development that is beneficial to the community. And we have seen some very positive things over the last few years. We also see some things that are not so positive. So what do we do to remedy some of this? I think it is time that the commission looks at, one, either bringing some resources in-house in the next budget cycle, since we're in budgeting right now, hiring an economic director, a development director, a grant writer, somebody who can do some strategic planning for Madison, including downtown. I think the city needs to seriously look at some of our ordinances and how we do our budgeting so that we are not favoring just industrial businesses. We need to look at retail, and I know that there are some roadblocks right now for using the business, the community development funds, aren't available necessarily to retail. Some of the limitations on maybe setting up a TIF. I understand it's tough to do some of these things, but it's not unreasonable to think that we can change our vision and our goals and write some ordinances and change our budgeting to support things like give downtown its own TIF district so the business owners like Gale can take some tax money and put it back into a building. Instead of giving Custom Touch $1 million kickback, why don't we take and give $1 million of sales tax back to businesses that locate on Main Street and give them incentives to build and improve their buildings? There's a lot of things that the City Commission can do. The big question tonight that I wrote right at the top of my paper is, what are we waiting for? Why in 3 years that I've been coming to this commission have we not come out with a plan? Why are we not speaking publicly on the record, whether that's writing to the paper, interviewing with papers, speaking up tonight, each one of you, telling us what is your vision for retail, for tourism, for making downtown a destination? And really, how do you feel about competition amongst retail? Are we trying to protect certain people, or are we open and fair and promote competition because that makes our capital system much stronger? I'll point to Jim Iverson. Right, Jim Iverson? I'm sorry if I got his first name wrong. Mr. Iverson wrote a letter to the editor this week talking about how they were afraid that McDonald's was going to put Dairy Queen out of business and how everybody wanted to protect Dairy Queen. Well, we see a lot of that same thing going on now. Oh, we got to protect our businesses downtown. We can't have competition. Or we got to protect the grocery store. We can't have competition. Well, as we found out, having McDonald's generated more traffic in town and has helped Delon and Dairy Queen and these other businesses along here. So let's create more competition, let's be open about it, let's incentivize retail businesses, not just the private sector and the industrial sector. Let's incentivize retail, figure out if we can give them the same types of tax forgiveness, maybe use some city funds to get some support and some staff to help with the planning and really come up with a vision of what we want to see in the next 10 years. Now, the Forward Madison program through the Lake Erie Improvement Corporation was supposed to do some of this, and we're going to talk tonight later probably about Forward Madison 2 and what that vision is. I've been told that some of that includes retail. Well, it turns out that some of that includes giving property up to the thrift store. Now, I'm a Christian. I believe in things like thrift stores and clothing stores and Salvation Army and the food pantry, and I thought that was a great idea. And then we find out, we have to spend $1 million to help the poor. Well, were there any better options discussed? Nobody knows because we weren't open in discussing it, and it's really sad because ICAP could really use some help. They really could. But it all got lost. The message got lost because we did things behind closed doors. So what we really need to do is focus on being open and honest about where we are at with economic development. Look at the city funds that we are giving to the Chamber of Commerce, the Lake Erie Improvement Corporation, see if there's any more funds within that third penny sales tax that we can devote specifically to downtown development. So what I'm going to ask tonight from the City Commission, because I think the six of us have really given you an idea of what we would like to see. We want to see more entertainment, we want to see more retail downtown, is I would like to formally ask you to make a motion tonight to create a downtown development task force. My personal hope from that task force is that a new downtown development corporation will be created, a nonprofit corporation, and we will come here and ask for funding, just like the Lake Erie Improvement Corporation and just like the Chamber of Commerce, and our sole focus will be on revitalizing downtown Madison. So I would like to ask the commission tonight to wrap it up. Please state your opinion on downtown development. Where are you as a commissioner? And please move to create a task force that will look specifically at downtown development. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. And those are the things our individuals wanted to present. Obviously, we love conversation. If you would care to ask us any questions and provoke conversation now, we're perfectly open to that. If it happens other evenings or in other venues, we're okay with that too, but we're open to any questions you have at this point.
I don't have any questions, but I have a few comments that I really, wrote down notes here. I think of my view, let's start with the question you had about economic development for downtown. My personal opinion, I don't want to put this on any other commissioner, I don't think we've had one. Not a real focused plan. I think you were exactly right. I think on most of your points, you were dead on. And the ones that maybe I don't agree exactly on, we were real close. There's a couple ones that maybe I think of doing it a little differently, but open meetings, everybody involved, a plan that we all can get behind, find a way to bring people downtown. My initial thought was to have it fairly open so you don't have one or two or somebody saying, this is the end point. Well, I don't think we know where the end point is. I think that's where the conversation and the open meetings and all that comes together. I think we need to budget money for this. I can go on a lot more. I think Gail's point where she bought a building, I think we need to promote our businesses downtown to own their buildings. If you go down line by line, and not everyone, and I'm not trying to knock anybody, but the ones who own their businesses in large are the ones who are fixing them up, or own the building, I should say. Own the building or fixing them up. That seems to be, it's one of my points that I like to bring. But I agree with you on nearly everything. I think this isn't a new plan or a new process. There's plans that we can follow, and procedures. I mean, the whole thing about the meetings and surveys and all of that. I think this doesn't have to be anything we reinvent. It can be steps that we can follow that, Helena and some of these other places, or maybe somebody's done it better, we can follow. So,
On that, if I may, Commissioner Delzer, what you're saying is absolutely right. I wouldn't want to see us try to reinvent a wheel from scratch, and really there are, well, again, we could talk all night about this, but I could summarize what you just said into, go look at mainstreet.org. There is a program called the Main Street Program. They've actually trademarked Main Street, so you can't use Main Street unless they give you permission, but they lay out a whole set of principles and guides for doing it. They have an established methodology. I mean, it's online, you can sign up, participate in it, and over 2,000 communities around the U.S. have participated in this formal program. I think it's run now by the National Trust for Historic Preservation. But 2,000 communities, billions of dollars of economic investment. I think the thing I read the other day was that they've helped 100,000 new businesses start on main streets nationwide. And they have a whole methodology that includes the open meetings, participation, that kind of thing. So if you wanted to go whole hog and start budgeting a process, there is a national organization that would pretty much say, here guys, here's your template, off you go. Now figure out how to fix your community.
so I can go on longer, but I guess I want to end with that. I think this was very positive. I appreciate everybody who got up and spoke. I think this is a good, I don't know if you call it the first step, it's a step in the process. And I'll argue on where it started, but I think we're starting. We're in the very early stages of it. So I think this is fantastic. It's a good discussion.
Oh, sure, I'll wait.
I don't really have a lot to add to it. I mean, everything that's been mentioned can be considered. I think a lot of it's probably going to fall outside of anything that the commission can act on. I don't see us starting a community craft, a city craft store or a city-run movie theater. I don't envision that.
But we
No,
can
I mean-
facilitate, if there's a plan in place, that maybe
Certainly.
that's the end result.
I don't
The
think
city
we're
can
in a
help
pos-
facilitate
I don't
things of
think
that
we're in a
nature.
position to say no to anything, which was kind of where the thrift store was maybe considered.
To add to Commissioner Abraham, one thing that the Lake Area Improvement Corporation does is, since the city can't, well, it could if it wanted to, but it doesn't buy and hold property. The Lake Area Improvement Corporation does that, and that's partly done through our taxpayer money. If we have a development corporation that is for downtown, we could theoretically help fund that through taxpayer money and give some sales tax back and look at areas in our economy that are businesses that we know are not going to make somebody a lot of money, but would maybe be break even or be an investment, and buy and purchase buildings and hold them and develop them, whether it's putting a state-of-the-art digital theater downtown and then renting it to fraggers because they can, fix their movie house, or buying a couple small stores and putting in a craft store or a dress shop or whatever, and holding those as the development corporation, not trying to make a profit, but just to keep the doors open so we get people downtown, and then hopefully through those retail sales, you're seeing that money come back through sales tax to the city. So there are a lot of things that we could do with the development corporation to spur, economic growth downtown by, maybe holding buildings. I mean, it's a possibility. Maybe fixing them up and renting them out, or having a business incubator. We also talked as a group that maybe a thrift store is still possible, but maybe on half that thrift store, we need to have a farmer's market in the evenings so that farmers can be in there, or we have some entertainment on Saturdays for the farmer's market, or, and really expand the ideas of what we are doing. And if the city can't do it, a development corporation probably can, a nonprofit one, and not have to worry about making large profits. And that's something that we've already done with the LEIC, whether it's the property over here or other properties that they have bought throughout town, so.
Ashley, I think a lot of those comments that you're bringing up just here is, those are the things that in your public meetings, when you're doing your brainstorming, that's where all these great ideas come from, and they have to come from the citizens. And whatever side of the fence you're on, your idea has to be up on the board. And anytime you're doing those brainstorming sessions, that's where all those good ideas come from. And you start with something and then you spin it off, and ultimately, I think as Corey said earlier, is, it comes up with a nice put together plan that, you know, you may not agree with everything, because maybe your one idea didn't get put exactly how you wanted it, but at the end of the day, everybody's kind of behind the plan and the idea, and that, I don't think there's anybody up here that's not against anything like that. I think that would be ultimately, and again, I'll go back to, you know, Commissioner Delzer spoke of it as well. It needs to come from the citizens, and these discussions are great.
Well, I guess a couple of things. One is I think it's interesting to watch the interplay between the city and the citizens. When you sit on the commission, you're trying to help everybody out. We're doing electric, water, streets, everything else. And, you know, this has come to us as a what are we gonna do to fix our community? And you're the community. A lot of the answers rest with you. I think some of the comments about people shopping in Madison, supporting Madison is a lot of the answers. You know, I don't know that you want us to become, maybe you do want us to become Germany and other countries, and we can run all the businesses here, and then we can see what our debt situation ends up in. But I think you understand there's a difference between the free market and us running everything. With that having been said, I think the city wants to participate to the extent it can. Historically, the Development Corporation, and some of you have heard me explain this, I've been here a long time and been involved in the Development Corporation for a long time. There was a taboo against the Development Corporation doing anything as far as retail development, because Madison had a stronger retail development or downtown years ago, and they didn't want to have public monies going or private monies going into to put Joe Blow out of business. And so that, I mean, we've come a long ways around the circle on that situation. And it's also interesting on whose ox is being gored. I don't know if the theater people will be here next week asking us about whether or not there should be a theater here downtown when the thrift store issue was raised. So we'll see how that flies. But it all depends on whose ox is being gored, I believe, is the term. I can tell you myself, as far as all the ideas, I think it's wonderful that this whole thing is engaged public conversation. That's what we need. I don't think the individuals that brought forth the last proposal intended it to be some sinister plot against their fellow citizens to ruin Madison. At least that I didn't perceive it to be that. I think their integrity is without question good. I think their motives were good. Whether or not they proceeded in a fashion that was the best method, that can be debated here, and Mr. Heidelberger's done a good job of pointing that out. But I don't think that they had any intentions of doing anything other than bring an idea forward. And that didn't generate or germinate from the commission. It came from those folks, a bunch of people like yourselves that sat around and said, what can we do for Madison? Now, we can all disagree whether that's right or wrong, but at least those folks are citizens just like you, I think. I think they're all, they can all sit in a chair like you can and upright, vote, and do whatever they want. So we have to respect their ideas, and I respect your ideas. Now, as to making another development corporation, I'm going to tell you I think that's a bad idea. And I'll tell you why. I'm the Mikhail Gorbachev of the Law School Foundation. I just presided over the death of the University of South Dakota Law School Foundation that's been in existence for 40 plus years with an endowment of $6 million. That law school foundation, after about 3 years of discussion, has been terminated and rolled into a larger foundation. You folks have no idea what the reporting requirements are for nonprofits and where they're going. And I can tell you that a $6 million foundation is nothing to sneeze at. But we rolled ourselves into the University of South Dakota Foundation, and we had a lot of graduates that are non-USD graduates that had some concern about that because they thought some of their South Dakota State Blue money was going to get mixed in with the University of South Dakota Red football team money, and it's not. We have a nonprofit corporation here in Madison, the LEIC, which is for development. I think that corporation can work and do exactly what you're talking about. If we're talking about forming another corporation, we're going to have to form another budget, and we're going to have to divide our resources. And I think the last thing we need to do is divide our resources in a time of trouble. I think we need to marshal our efforts together, and I think we can do that. And I think that I don't know, but I know the LAIC director. She doesn't seem really mean-spirited or, I mean, too bad from what I can see. But I think she seems pretty open to the task of engaging people in the process. And I know that there's been some folks in town that think that Development Corporation is the next thing to the CIA. Well, let me tell you, having been in development work for almost 40 years, part of the time they have to act that way because they're trying to entice businesses to town. And those businesses don't want the people in the other towns that they're located in to know that they're thinking about moving. So we have to have a leap of faith and trust in the LAIC when they're talking about industrial development. And maybe that'll be part of the case in retail development. But I think they'll work with you, and I think they'll work with you in an open manner. So my suggestion is to engage the LAIC and the chamber. I don't know how many people in here are chamber members. How many people attend the chamber meetings? Good place to start. What's the minimum dues for the chamber? We got a chamber person here. What is it? $25. Be a chamber member. And you go to the chamber meeting, you can voice your opinion about retail development all you want. You can be on any committee you want. Just a minute. You had your time, I get mine. And you can rebut all you want. But I'm just going to tell you, you can be part of the process. Some people don't feel that they can get into the LAIC. I don't think that's the case. But that's all I'm going to say. I'm just going to say that I think these are great ideas. I think the conversation has been wonderful for the community. I would only hope, as I said last time, that we're respectful of people's positions. You can disagree. We've lost statesmanship in this country. It's pretty obvious that Congress has none. And I'll tell Mr. Thune and Mr. Johnson and Ms. Noem that when I see them. It's unfortunate. I think we've learned, we've forgotten the art of being able to engage in discussion and conversations and come up with better solutions. And I would like to think that that hasn't been lost in my hometown. I've got faith in my citizens. So whatever you want to say about the conversation that's been to date, whether good, bad, or otherwise, I commend you all. I'm glad you came here, got on the agenda, and were able to speak to us. We listen, believe it or not, we listen to you. I listen to you, and I want to hear your ideas. But let's do this in an orderly manner. I answered some of your questions. Now, Mr. Allen had some comments to make about the chamber.
Well, first of all, I think the comment about Germany is over the top. It really is. And if you define socialism.
That's my idea of being facetious.
Right.
But go
Okay,
ahead.
so you're giving taxpayer money to the LAIC to incentivize businesses, and some of those businesses would not be here or in business without that taxpayer money. That is socialism. So comparing us to Nazi Germany is unfair.
I don't think I compared you to Nazi Germany. I
Well,
think I compared you to present-day Germany.
Contemporary Germany.
And my son,
That's fine,
my
but-
son
but-
happens, and I have a grandson that is German, so I should tell you.
What- It's still, the inflection is there that, we're being socialists. And
No.
I don't take that word lightly because, I've been sitting here talking about capitalism and incentivizing businesses and trying to find ways to get the businesses to come to town and handing back tax dollars. So we need to have an open discussion
Your
about
point's
that
well taken.
and not jumping into our foxholes and doing this kind of stuff. Now, I've come before this commission before and expressed my sincere want to understand what's going on at the Lake Erie Improvement Corporation. Twice, the last 2 budget cycles. I was disinvited from their board meetings. I was told they don't do retail. I was told they focus on, private development for industrial areas. But at the same time, we're doing things like helping out. There are businesses that are not, brick and mortar stores, but they are selling things that are retail that they have helped. Coming before the commission every year with a 3-page budget and not a plan of attack is not going to get it done. And if we continue to just give money to the LAIC and not hold them accountable and not have a formal conversation with the community, then we're just handing money back to businesses that are able to participate in that process. It's not open and it's not fair. And I think all of us, if we really think about it.
I think it's best to keep these two issues separate, because I think we go down a rabbit hole that we
So,
get lost in.
Let me
But
just finish real quick with that, if we are going to fund a development corporation, then it should be for all development of Madison. Downtown, the Lake Park area, the industrial, help the Madison Hospital, help the school, help everything that involves economic development, not just a few industries. and be open and accountable about it. And when citizens go to your meetings, you know, talk to them. When I was told by the mayor to attend their annual meeting, I did so. I was told that I was gonna see this big plan for Ford Madison 2 and for how we're gonna tackle retail, and all I saw was a 30-second commercial. It needs to be open. The plans need to be shown to the public. And that's why I'm asking for a new development corporation or a task force to look at helping the current structure to get some focused resources on it. I'm very passionate about it. As you can tell, I'm kind of getting a little upset about it because I've spent a lot of time coming to meetings, talking to people, holding private meetings, trying to get people talking about this and figure out what the key is. And I feel like there's just a lot of closed doors. So.
I would just like to make a couple of quick comments. Personally, I'm not ready to make a decision tonight. I need more information. I appreciate everyone that has come to speak tonight. I'd like to know how many people in this room were here several years ago when we created the first TIF district in the city of Madison, South Dakota. TIF district, tax increment financing. It's a state law. It's been around for many, many, many years. TIF districts have been used throughout South Dakota, many ways, shapes, manner, and form. The thing is, the rules of the TIF district law are pretty specific, pretty narrow. You got to fit into the deal. There was a great deal of kicking and screaming going on in this meeting several years ago when we created the Silver Creek TIF district on South Washington. But we got through it, and we did it, and it works. It's wonderful. As mayor, I am in favor of doing anything that I can to help all of Madison move forward. I've lived in Lake County for 75 years. I've lived in Madison for 52 years, and I guess I'll be here hopefully a little bit longer. But Dean and I go back to the Beetle Blue Jays football team of 1953 and 54 when we played together. We had some pretty tough battles. But Dean, I like your comments about shopping in Madison. My wife and I buy everything that we possibly can in Madison, South Dakota. We only go to other cities only for an outing or an enjoyment, not a shopping trip. We do have to do some medical work in Sioux Falls that is not available in Madison, but those are specialists, and that results in a trip to Sioux Falls about every 3 or 4 months for my wife. But we have excellent things here, and we want to work for everything that can possibly be done with the limited resources that we have available. So I would like to move forward because we have some other presentations here tonight. I thank you for coming. We will take all of these things under advisement as we move forward, and so my thanks to you.
For your time this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, number 2 then, under appearances, we have the 2013 Chamber of Commerce budget request, and we have representatives from the Chamber of Commerce here to speak with us. So thank you folks for coming. And let's see, Michelle Yost.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay.
Thank you.
I'm Donna Youthy, Chamber Board President, and I'd like to introduce our new Executive Director, Rosie Jameson. She will be starting August 1st, and we're very welcome to have her aboard. And Michelle, you have met Michelle before. She is our interim director, and she's doing an excellent job, and she will make the presentation.
Okay, first of all, just thank you for having us here tonight. Donna passed around the budget to you for 2013, and it's very similar to 2012. We're actually asking for the same exact amount. As you will kind of see by looking at it, it's broken down into 3 sections. There's the committee activity, the operating activity, and then the advertising promotion activity. And I'm just gonna give you just kind of a brief overview of what those all entail. The committees are really active in the chamber, and they work together, they work independently, they plan several events each year. Just a couple that I want to mention is the Ag Committee. Their purpose is to promote goodwill and interaction between the ag sector of the area. They have the Northern Bull Riding Tour that they give free passes to the area farmers to promote them. And they really actually had a great turnout this year, and everybody had a good time. The next one is Leadership Madison, and I'm sure that you're all aware of what that kind of offers. So far, there have been 202 graduates from that, and set to begin in September for this next year. A couple years ago, there was a group project that was added, and that's where you, I'm sure you've all heard of the Warming House. That's what came out of that Leadership Madison. They're raising money for a building that I think is going to be a great thing for Madison. And I have personally heard a lot of great things about that program also. I guess coming up here soon is Crazy Days. That's a retail promotion committee event. And they work closely with Rec and Tourney that do hold the road races on that Saturday of Crazy Days. And I encourage you to kind of look at this too, and you can see the different committees that are on there that I'm not mentioning. But there's several events that they each plan, and a lot of time that's spent to promote different things around the area. On the second page, there is operating activity. The estimate for membership dues in 2013 is about $73,000 is what they're hoping to bring in. And the second thing I want to mention on there is Chamber Bucks. They're a huge seller in Madison. They sell about $75,000 a year. A lot of businesses offer them for spiffs, and we get so many people that come in the door for gifts from different areas. That's something that actually doesn't bring a profit to the chamber, but it is a huge service that we offer to our chamber members, so it's a great thing. And then also Donna passed around some advertisements that we have there in front of you, Jeff.
Sure.
And I flagged the pages too, some of the different ones, but the chamber will invest in several different advertisements and magazines and everything like that for the year promoting Madison and everything it has to offer. They do both radio and print and different around the area. And then one thing that's different from last year is on the very last page at the bottom is Chamber Master. And what that is, it's a software suite that's designed to better serve the chamber members. They can update their own pages, put some deals on there, sales if they have them, basically make any changes that they choose. And they're hoping that that program can become a reality in 2013.
We want to thank you for your time, to hear about the great things that the chamber provides to the city and the citizens of Madison. This was a brief overview, and there are several other ways the staff promotes the city of Madison. The chamber has always been very cost-conscious in the past, and we would like to thank you for the past funding, which has allowed many successful programs. Do you have any questions for us?
Do you have any enrollment in the Leadership Madison yet?
They
Or
just set the date,
they-
so the program will just be released here, the little brochure will be released.
Okay.
I think it started on September 18th, so.
I didn't know if you already had people ready for it or
No,
not
it
yet.
hasn't been yet.
Okay,
They just kind of finalized everything to get that going,
Yep.
so.
okay.
In terms of your annual report, what percent of your total budget comes from the city of Madison, second penny sales tax, and what percent of your budget comes from dues of the chamber? I should have remembered from last year, but I don't. Do you have that?
It's about 25%, I think, from each.
Our city contribution is about
Looks like
25%
69,000 on a 280.
of your total budget. Okay.
And then their dues are about 73,000, so that's about 26% or something.
Have you adjusted your due structure for 2012 or next year, or?
We have not.
Okay. So, am I reading then your grand total, your grand total budget then would be 287,000?
That is the budgeted income. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How does that compare to How's that compared to 2012
2011.
or 2011? Well, this is your 2013 budget.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, this is your 2013 budget. Well, how does that compare with your 2012 budget?
It's fairly the same, except the chamber master was put into the budget. Other than that, it's.
Okay,
mostly
so you're basically living with the same budget
correct.
for 2013 as you have in 12, okay?
I see you budgeted 73,000 for membership dues. What is the actual?
I think it's, can I speak to that?
Uh-huh.
I think this year is probably 74,000, so I would assume it'd be, I would be between 73 and 74.
Anything else?
Say, Mayor?
Yes.
Maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but just to kind of summarize the budget, and you can clarify if I'm wrong, and I think maybe the audience might be somewhat interested in this because of the discussion that's been on tonight. It appears to me that the chamber has a number of committees that break even, basically. Ag committee, retail committee, education committee, all those committees basically break even. In fact, they make a little money. Then the dues pays to run the office, pays for all the salaries, pays for utilities, pays for all the office, insurance, that type of thing. The city's money, according to, correct me if I'm wrong, the city's money is used to promote Madison. I see a lot of retail promotions, Christmas promo, Crazy Days radio, maps, visitor bags, some memberships to Glacial Lakes, promotional items, signage, billboard, and that's where the city's money goes. Am I correct in
That's
saying that?
correct,
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, well, guess not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rosie, did you want to say
Oh,
something?
sir.
If I may
Yep.
address the commission, it is a pleasure for me to be here, and since there has been very excellent leadership in the chamber in the past few years and these recent months that Michelle has just taken over, I'm sure a lot of this information has been pulled together, and the board of directors has stood ready to assist the members throughout, and I'm sure that they will continue to, and I'll take their guidance as best as possible to ensure that that continues. But the reason that we're all here is to promote Madison and to ensure that the best of Madison is brought forward. We'll continue to do that.
Excellent.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Next on the agenda, we have the 2013 request from LAIC and Forward Madison with their budget request. Julie Gross and other representatives of LAIC. Okay. And welcome, all of you.
Well, thank you for having us here tonight. I'd like to introduce Lloyd Rummel. He is our president-elect for the LAIC, and Dr. David Borowski, who sits on our board. Some other board members would have been here tonight, but they have prior commitments. You have in front of you a letter, and I would just like to reiterate the mission statement of the LAIC, if I could just read that here. It is to enhance the quality of life for all citizens of the Lake County area and to facilitate the development and retention of quality jobs that are environmentally and economically compatible for Lake County. The LAIC, in cooperation with other organizations, initiates and develops leadership, markets the area to both prospective new business and residents, fosters and manages change, and nurtures a positive, cooperative, and progressive attitude. As you know, they had recently, before I was hired, they had a Forward Madison team initiative, and through that, they came out of there with two components. And one of them was business development, which is to facilitate expansion efforts of our local companies and new business attraction. And the other one just fits in perfect with what everybody's talking about tonight, which is retail development and marketing. They will work with local and regional retailers to encourage expansion into Madison and Lake County. This has been great discussion tonight. As you guys know, I'm new into this job, and I couldn't be more excited that there are so many people who want to help. I love Dean's comments. I wrote it down. I couldn't agree with him more if he's still here, how we need to educate the people on local spending. I mean, I worked, that's what a good share of the money that we used at the chamber was spent on, was trying to educate people. And I'm so excited that he's loyal to Madison, because I'm also very loyal to Madison. And Shirley had some great comments, actually they all did, about that. So I'm very excited about that. We are asking for our monies for the 2013 budget, as you well know. And we are asking for $140,000, the same as we've asked for in the past. And then since we had a new Forward Madison campaign, we are asking for $120,000 a year for the Forward Madison campaign. And that kind of, obviously since I'm new into the job, it's been a little bit difficult for me to get a handle on the whole entire budget, because it's a little bit different than the chamber. But in front of you, you have where we get our income from the city, county, and our property. And then I have some expenses like office operations. Those are things like the copier, the insurance, the computer support, postage, maintaining the depot, payroll and insurance. That is a portion. The other portion is paid by Forward Madison. That is for salary, payroll, taxes, workers' comp, unemployment insurance. Professional services are things like the accountant we pay one of our vetsmen to assist with the accounting. They come in every month to make sure that everything's going okay. They do a complete audit at the end of the year. And then we have the other three components, which are new business attraction, business retention, downtown revitalization, which are things like advertising, hosting, and incentives. This has been a very exciting time. At the chamber, I totally believed in keeping the lines of communication open, and as many of you might think I was new on the chamber, or on the commission, but you, I'm sure, received emails and messages from me. But a lot of great things happened at the chamber, and I didn't do those alone. I wish I could take the credit for it, but it was because it was a team effort. It was because we had open conversations like we're talking about tonight. The LAC board just had a planning session last Wednesday. We got some things hammered out. We have an investor council that we're putting into place about the Forward Madison, what to do with the Forward Madison money. So we are asking for this, the two different expenses for tonight. For the Forward Madison money, in the past, the money that you gave for Forward Madison all went towards marketing. I think we could take part of that for marketing now. If you want to determine it or you want us to determine it, is fine. Either way, like 50 to 60% maybe on marketing. We do marketing, from what I can understand from the LASC, would do different marketing than the chamber. The chamber does a lot of marketing. They market outside the community, but they also market a lot to the community. They market a lot of things, local events, where the LASC more markets the community. They market it for people to come here and move here and to start businesses here. Since I started in this job, we have, our office has responded to 15 requests for information, which has been really awesome. These came from the Governor's Office of Economic Development, that people were considering moving their business to South Dakota. So we send back information, and we've actually had 2 official hostings, I will call them, here, and it's very exciting. We're still working with those companies here. We're also entertaining 3 other companies that are within South Dakota who are considering moves. And so that's also been very exciting. Some of the other things we do is, we field the calls, we manage properties as was mentioned tonight. There's a sale of properties. There's a whole host of committees that are places that we work for, like Advantage South Dakota. There's a company that we're working with out of Minneapolis to try to bring some businesses here. There's a whole bunch of them that we work with. I definitely want to keep the lines of communication open. I am on your agenda for October 8th, and I plan to come back quarterly, if you'll have me quarterly, to let you know what the LASC is doing and maybe give you, a little bit of handle of where we spent the money so far. I mean, just kind of an update quarterly. So I am on your agenda for October 8th. The task force, if I could just address that, because we did talk about that a little bit at our planning session on Wednesday. I think it's a great idea. I think that the LAC could possibly spearhead that task force or help with that task force, whatever you guys would see fit. I know the USD Business School could do a study And the LAC has some money now, we have some Forward Madison money to put towards that. So we would be willing, obviously, these things I would need to take to the board, but I think that they would be willing to look at that. Having members like are here tonight on that committee would be awesome. I think, somebody from the chamber, giving somebody from DSU, somebody from a church, somebody from, maybe the city and the county, somebody in manufacturing, somebody in downtown. I don't want it too big, but just, start with open discussions like we've discussed tonight. So, if you give us a chance, that might be something that we would be able to spearhead. Like I said, we'd need to go to our board and ask. But do you have any questions on all that?
I don't have anything.
A couple things, I guess I'd like to maybe expand upon. I was at the retreat as well. A couple things that I was very interested in that the group, maybe, I don't want to put it, some direction they gave Julie, first of all. They told her to do what she does well, and that's communicate and inform. That's one of, I think, the things that we noticed in the chamber when she took that over, that lots of information comes out, and they gave her the go-ahead to do, take that strength and use it for the Lake Area Improvement Corp. The other thing is, when they brought up the task force, was they felt strongly that it needed to be a community task force. It can be spearheaded. There's certain things the Lake Area Improvement Corp has. They have a staff. They have a budget. They have things they can facilitate. That doesn't mean they need to be the committee. It means they have the ability to facilitate, and we don't have to start over. So I think there's some synergies there that are utilized, like having money that the city doesn't have to, they can decide as the committees, as the task force decides, this is what we need to do. In the beginning, they have the ability to do some things that it might, if it doesn't hit our budget time or we don't have a pre-budget for that particular item, the city can slow down, and I don't think the committee or the task force would want that to happen. So that was encouraging to me, some of the information we came out of that. So felt very strongly about the development of downtown too. And I also like the idea that they didn't have a plan. Meaning, that's not where we're going. We need a committee to tell us where we're going, or the task force to get together, find out from the community, do the plan, and at the end of it, our downtown will be what it needs to be for Madison based on the plan. So that's all I have.
Where is our funding going? What do you plan to do with our $140,000 and our proposed $120,000? A one-line request for $120,000? One line for $120,000?
Well, the 140 goes towards the expenses of, as you'll see there, the office operations. Part of it is towards payroll, the professional services, and then the business traction, business retention, downtown revitalization. The Forward Madison.
So with the first 140, you're saying we're paying your salary and running your office with no oversight or control?
That's essentially how we do it. We do it for the chamber. It's exactly the same way. We keep the offices, we pay for the staff, or, that offsets it. I mean, it's not an uncommon. That was.
And then where would the $120,000 be spent?
Well, that would be up to you. If you wanted to, I said it would be nice to have some of it for marketing. I know in the past, all of the money went to marketing. I don't think that we need $120,000 for marketing, so I think that you could do part of it for marketing, and then part of it, if we had another project that comes up that we could specify. That's why I think it would be nice if obviously this is for 2013, and I'll be coming back in October, but if we could talk about different projects, maybe some downtown, it could go towards downtown revitalization. The marketing, there's some marketing things that we can do hand in hand with the chamber, and so I would fully intend to do that. That's why I don't think that we really need $120,000 for marketing in a year, but I would say maybe half of that could be for marketing.
So then why isn't a request for $60,000?
And the other half would be for another project as it goes forward.
There's things. I mean, one thing right now, we need a spec building. We have businesses that would move here right away if we had a spec building for them. We don't have a spec building. That's where some of the money could be. The money, there's projects to be used on. I think, I don't think it would be very hard to point out things that we're desperate for. There's buildings that need to be bought in Madison. Right now, they're negotiating on a couple different pieces of property for businesses to move to town. I mean, it's not as if you're just throwing it into the wind. There's
That's fine,
many, many-
but I can understand a line item for a spec building.
Okay.
I can understand money to
And
purchase
I
property.
do have to apologize. I am defending Julie a little bit because she's stressed over this a lot. I think you all know what Julie
Yeah.
will do in a year from now. She'll have it laid out, and we'll know exactly what's going on. So she is right now at a point where she's trying to get her mind around exactly what she
And
needs
this
to present to us.
isn't picking on Julie, this is, we
I
have
know,
to
I know,
we have
but
to be
that's where I
accountable
just
to where
wanted
this
to let you-
$120,000 is going.
Wanted to let you know where I was coming from on that, because there is a plan. I was with the group. There are definite projects that we desperately need money for there. Without going in too deep and expressing things that could hurt the negotiations that are going on.
Certainly, but I don't think building a spec building is a big secret.
No, that particular one isn't. And it's not for a person here today. We just don't have the ability. If somebody calls up and says, we're gonna, a Custom Touch had that kind of a deal where they were ready to expand. If somebody else had a building for them, that was an opportunity for them to move. To our benefit, and they didn't have anywhere else to go, and we had some opportunities to give to them. That's what the Lake Area Improvement Corp is trying to do, is put ourselves in positions so that we're the advantageous city to move to.
I'm looking for a little more accountability. I mean, I have no
think that's-
problem
I think
with
that's-
being
I
a
think
player
that's reasonable. I think
in a
that-
spec building,
Yeah, I
or,
think that's very reasonable, Commissioner, and I think that, I think there has been a disconnect in the office as far as what information was put out. And that's been unfortunate, but that's the way it's been. And I think Commissioner Delzer's right. I think, Julie, if anybody has been on that, if you're a chamber member, I was getting emails 3 times a day from Julie. I knew whose dog was having a birthday and how old he was. But, I mean, there was information coming out. And I think that you'll see that from the LAIC. I think the LAIC is going to understand, because of the discussion that's been going on, Mr. Allen and other folks that want information are entitled to the information of where public money is going, but not all of it. You have to understand, part of this has to be done in a way to attract a business development. And if you believe that you can run everything up, and everybody knows everything, then you've never been in some businesses. It's just the way they are. But I agree with Commissioner Abraham that we need more information, and we need a better itemized budget, and I think we're going to get that. That having been said, I would make a comment about the funding for the LAIC. So for people in the audience that don't necessarily attend on a regular basis, the funding of the LAIC, part of it comes out of the city budget, but part of it comes out of the second penny sales tax. Madison is somewhat unique in that, I think Mr. Heinemeyer could correct me or make sure I'm right on this. Most towns that have multiple city sales tax will put their sales tax all in one account. They just throw it all together. And if they can't make it on the first penny, they just throw it. If they can't pay the light bill on the first penny, they throw the second penny, and then everybody leaves the lights on, then they have to have a third penny so they can, put that in. Madison has not been set up that way. The second penny sales tax is set out and is segregated from the first, and the commission has discretion for its use, primarily for infrastructure projects to fix your roads, your streets, your water plants, things like that, but also to do funding for the LAIC. So the $120,000 Ford Madison request is coming out of the second penny sales tax. I think you should understand where that is. So there should be accountability, no question about it. I think we're going to get better accountability. I think we'll get better information. And I would like to think that that's going to make a lot of people more, I guess, comfortable. And that's not an unreasonable thing to be, is comfortable with where your money's being spent.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, David Borowski from Dakota State University. Thank you all for hearing and listening to us and asking these great questions. I just want to talk a little bit about what happened last week with strategic planning. I really can't speak what happened more than 5 months ago because that's how I've been here. But I've been going to the LAIC board meetings for the last 4 months. And it's pretty clear that there really wasn't the kind of roadmap that we created last Wednesday or Thursday. And frankly, to the retail question, one of the things we've heard You've got a group over here that are upset we're spending money on retail, we should be spending it only on manufacturing, and a group over here that says, no, you should be spending it on retail. So one of the discussions we had last week was, okay, what are we doing? We've got a Forward Madison 2 brochure that looks like this and clearly says, we're gonna do retail. Well, we decided last week, we're gonna go, this is what we said we were gonna do, so we're gonna do this, and that does include retail. And Mr. Heidelberger is absolutely right. Being a former downtown business owner in a little town in New Hampshire, we were involved with Main Street USA, and it's a great organization to be involved with. And at some point, with the task force giving us that kind of direction, we might do that. But with the LAIC board sitting by itself, we're not gonna make those decisions without community input. So I think we had a great session last week. We've got some direction. We're gonna learn from the previous mistakes that have been made or the previous successes that have been made, and be a lot better. And in October, on October 8th, when Julie comes back, you'll see a whole different picture here because she'll have her feet under her and really have a good understanding of exactly what she's gonna be doing. And as Scott will remember, she got about 8 or 9 things that were told to her that she needs to get done, to the point where a couple of us said, well, can she do all this and do it well? Because you don't want to overload her, because then she doesn't do it well, and that's not good for anybody. So some of that's is being prioritized by Floyd and others so that she knows exactly what needs to be done to make this successful. But communication definitely is something that we need to do, and we're going to do a better job at. Thank you.
I think coming back to see us quarterly will be really good. That will really help, and love your emails, keep sending them.
Sounds like you got a lot of volunteers too.
I know, it's
Yep.
so exciting.
Okay, I have nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Under number 4, we have correspondence, and we need to acknowledge a letter from the Federal Aviation Administration regarding land acquisition funding approval at the Madison Airport. This is the official letter of allocation of $150,000 in federal funds under the Airport Improvement Program for 2012. This is for the acquisition of land for the approaches at the Madison Airport. Jeff, do you have any, I don't know if there's anybody else here
I
that,
think you explained that.
Nick, you're familiar with this?
This is the payback from buying what we already spent, I believe.
Right. That's
Yeah,
what
we've already made the land acquisition authorization, so
Is this 90?
this would be
90?
95.
We did
This
this-
is 95 for this year, right?
Yeah.
This
We
is the
still own it.
95% of that
95% of the
project.
acquisition cost, yeah.
3 coming from the state, 2
From
from
us.
us, yeah. So, we could have a motion to acknowledge that letter from the FAA for the record.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded that we acknowledge the letter from the Federal Aviation Administration regarding land acquisition funding approval for the Madison Municipal Airport. Any questions or speaking? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The motion is carried. We have no items listed under old business. We have one item under new business, that being personnel, a personnel recommendation at the community center. What are your wishes?
Make a motion to approve the personnel.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the personnel recommendations as presented. Any questions or speaking? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion is carried. We have nothing under announcements and other business. We're prepared for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to adjourn the meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion is carried. Thank you.